Down in the feature match area, so let's head down there. We've got our last two undefeated players ready for us. Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Madison. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with special guest from R&D, Ben Hayes. Ben, welcome to the booth. And I'm really happy to have you here, by the way, because we're getting right into the action. Two 11-0 players. Now, I'm going to tell you, Ben, these are the only two 11-0 players left standing, Sam Pardee and Magnus Lantto. And it looks like they're off to the races pretty quickly here for both players with, well, a 2-drop, and then it looks like a Pilgrim's Eye here for Magnus Lantto.
Yeah, so we see both players looks like are playing 3-color decks. And I imagine from Sam playing the 3 colors that have Devoid and seeing that 05 that he might have some colorless going on.
Okay.
Actually, looking through his deck, it looks like he is mostly more of a good stuff 3-color deck.
Ah, yeah, that's a Tide Drifter down there that pumps the toughness of all of your colorless creatures, though his second play, the Predator there, not colorless. In the meantime, Pilgrim's Eye is going to extract first blood here and get in there for one in the air with a retreat to Emeria as the follow-up play for Magnus. But he's trading a lot of damage here. It's a big hit from the Predator, 4 damage, and an Incubator Drone to follow up. So a really nice curve here for Sam Pardee. He went 2-3-4 and has a nice board state to show for it. But Magnus Lantto looks to be trying to kind of grind things back with that retreat. I've heard a lot of players thinking that that's one of the stronger retreats, the retreat to Emeria. Are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I mean, retreat to Emeria, both modes are fantastic. One giving you a 1/1 ally and the other giving your whole team +1/+1. The ally can trigger your other allies or just build you a board without having to play a bunch more spells. And then you can see on this turn, Magnus went from 1 creature to 4 creatures.
Yeah, he played a Grove Tender Druids and had the mana left over to activate that. Now, interestingly, the Druids is an ally. Doesn't make allies, makes plant tokens instead.
Yeah, so it doesn't make allies because if it did, it would go semi-infinite with itself.
You could just keep doing it.
Yeah, but, oh, and we see all the, wow. Okay, all the creatures on Magnus's side just got swept away by Radiant Flames.
Oh no! Radiant Flames just wiped the board for Lantto. Oh my goodness, that's brutal. And, you know, you see that Sam even had a land to get that landfall on the Predator. So he lost nothing?
Yeah, his 2/3 survived because the 05 Drifter is giving it +0/+1. So that was just a totally backbreaking turn for Sam.
Wow, what a huge swing for Sam Pardee. I mean, he did lose a Scion.
He did. He paid a cost.
It was not a high cost. And now Magnus Lantto is the one who's left to rebuild his board. And this is outnumber for Sam Pardee. He's going to take out the Lifespring Druid and send in the team here. Now, it looks like the turn's not over, though, for Magnus Lantto. He has Gideon's Reproach to take down the 2/3 and stem the bleeding a little bit here.
Yeah, so he falls to 8. He really wants Sam to not have more lands for that Valakut's Predator. But on the other hand, you know, he doesn't want Sam to have spells. So Sam's in a pretty good spot, although you can see Magnus just played another Druid there, and his board's going to get flooded pretty quickly.
Wow, yeah, he has been able to rebuild his board in a really impressive way. So pretty tricky there, what he did there, Ben. He played the Grove Tender Druids, triggers itself, he paid. Then he played a land which triggered his retreat, made an ally, triggers a Grove Tender, pay again, and boom, he's got a board state again.
So every land is going to give him 2 1/1s from here out, but you see Sam has a great answer to that in Akum Hellkite.
Wow.
Oh, was a great answer.
Stasis Snare. This has been a swingy game. I am really impressed by how Magnus has been able to rebuild his board, though, so quickly.
Yeah, you saw him go from 1 to 4 creatures, then down to 1, or even none, then back to 1 and up to 4, and
now he's back to 6.
Yeah, and okay, we're going to see
into the Touch of the Void there.
Yeah, so the creatures are going to be slowed a little bit. I mean, he's still going to get a 1/1 for every land if he chooses to do that, but not 2 1/1s.
Now, would you say that we're roughly at parity at this point?
I think Magnus. Oh, okay, and a Gideon's Reproach to take out that Valakut Predator. I think Magnus is pretty squarely ahead even before the Gideon's Reproach.
Okay.
He's got that Retreat to Emeria sitting on the board, so his spells are live and his lands are live. Pretty soon he might start giving his team +1/+1 and really putting a lot of pressure on Sam.
Belligerent Whiptail was the draw for Sam Pardee. It's just a 4/2. Does block the 1/1s?
Yeah, Magnus has got plenty of blockers for the 4/2. Although also if Magnus has a land, he can make that Whiptail, make it hard for that Whiptail to block if he gives his team +1/+1. Although Sam's at 15, so might be a little early for Magnus to start going for that route.
Yeah, we also see that Magnus is down to 8 life. That's 2 hits from the Belligerent Whiptail if it's able to get through, and we've got a pretty close game here. Take a look at our players. That's Sam Pardee on the left there with the glasses. Well, I guess Magnus has glasses too. Magnus is our online champion, our Magic Online champion this year. That is no small feat. You have to win like 3 tournaments to to get that thing.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see Magnus go with the +1/+1 mode on that retreat, so he's going to get in for 8 damage this turn.
Wow, massive hit, though. He doesn't have a follow-up play, so he may take a hit from the Whiptail here.
Okay, Valakut Invoker. Pretty strong. That's 2/3. Sam can pay 8 mana to Lightning Bolt a creature or player, deal 3 damage. So he's 2 mana off of that.
That does seem like a pretty... that's a long way at this point. Ooh. What did Magnus get?
Magnus drew something.
Okay, a Core Castigator. But that has actually slowed him down. The 2/3 Invoker there has made it so he can't. And this is actually a lethal attack here with the Whiptail. This is going to prompt a chump block of some sort from Magnus. He's going to throw a plant under the bus. But we'll also see that Pardee did hit his land drop for the turn bend. So now he is just 1 mana away from being able to activate that Invoker. And that can end the game very quickly.
Yeah, the land drop was huge, both to get him closer to the Invoker and to give the Whiptail first strike so that he could actually attack with it. If it didn't have first strike, he's probably not willing to trade it off for just a 2/1 or 2 1/1s.
Right.
And so Magnus here, if he has a land, would be just short on damage.
He would not quite win the game.
He would be able to put Sam to 1. So Magnus, if he drew a spell, considering what to do with that, although if he drew a land, okay, he did draw a land, and yeah, we're just going to see him make a 1/1 because he can't quite present lethal.
So close. Now, speaking of close, it's close in both directions here, as even if Sam Pardee has a land. Oh, what did he find here?
Okay.
Oh, adverse conditions. Okay. Now that does give him the necessary Eldrazi spawn to activate his Invoker once.
Yeah, so
but
now
it's
Magnus
not quite lethal.
Is the one who would go to 1 if that happened.
Exactly. Oh, Coastal Discovery, though, is going to add another blocker/attacker to the board here. And he gets to draw 2 cards. What a huge swingy play late in the game. Now, I'm curious to see if Sam Pardee has attacks here. If he can compel chump blocks, he can whittle down that plan with the retreat of pumping up a bunch of creatures. He just has fewer extra creatures to do that with.
Yeah, and I think Sam is now just going to win unless something really crazy happens, because Magnus's 2 creatures aren't even going to untap next turn.
Right, of course. And he's going to be another 2 creatures down here, and he really doesn't want to take a hit from the Invoker either, because then that means that if Pardee gets to untap, the game ends.
Yeah, it's a short list of cards I can think of here. I mean, if he's... I guess we can look at his deck.
Yeah, but Planar Outburst actually doesn't quite do it. I guess he could... Does he have enough mana to make a 4/4 that can still block?
I think he's just short on that plan too, and we can see he doesn't
have it.
Doesn't have a Planar Outburst. So.
Okay. Yeah, because remember, it doesn't kill land creatures, and Sam has one. He's got a 4/4.
Yeah, and one with as much power as Magnus has life left.
Yes. All right, what did Magnus find here? Nothing. And that's it. Sam Pardee takes game 1. That was a sweet game. Super swingy.
Yeah, really back and forth. Both players doing pretty cool stuff. And then Sam just kind of pulled out ahead at the very end there.
Make sure you join us next week for Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. That is October 16th through 18th. It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're in Madison. Not very far from Milwaukee right now. And, yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be doing drafting, standard, all the new cards. I can't wait. Hugely different standard format from what we've had as well, as there was a big rotation with Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah, all of Theros block and M15 leaving the format.
Yeah.
So
Big
lots
shake-up.
of stuff going, whole new set coming in, the new mana bases, a few new planeswalkers, lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah. Now you can see we've got another match going on our back table. I see Andrew Cuneo versus Jamie Park. It looks like they're in shuffle mode too, though. So this happens occasionally, Ben. We'll hit the double shuffles. Ah! Cancel that order. They're just underway. They were just resolving mulligans, it looks like. There's Fertile Thicket. That's been an interesting card to evaluate, you know, for me on the podcast and here in the booth and stuff. And I'm thumbs up on Fertile Thicket. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, it's a land that fixes your mana, which you're used to having be colorless. Your Evolving Wilds, your Terramorphic Expanse, Unknown Shores, those kind of things. It's pretty unusual to have a land that produces colored mana but also fixes your colors.
Right.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Horribly Awry.
Indeed.
And
it hits the Eldrazi Sky Spawner.
And the Sky Spawner, just one of the best commons in the format.
Yeah, we have it as the best blue common, and card's really impressive. Yeah, Incubator Drone's a reasonable follow-up. It's like the kind of worst Sky Spawner, I guess.
And both these players at 9 and 2 are probably playing to stay in contention for top 8.
Right, yeah, most likely a loss here would bump them out. Here's a Mindraker now for Cuneo, and thanks to the Horribly Awry exiling the Sky Spawner, he actually gets to activate it too and get a little process going here.
Yeah, a lot of the blue and black and some of the red spells have that rider of exiling the card they deal with. Horribly Awry, Touch of the Void, Complete Disregard, and then they set you up for these turn 4, turn 5 processes where you can get a little bit of extra value.
Just like you planned it.
We drew it up that way.
It must have been a tricky balance, huh?
Yeah, exiling and process and ingest and all that was by far the most challenging thing I've worked on since I've been there.
Yeah, I can see that. Looks like you came to a good place here. And it looks like it's going to be a Clutch of Currents. Wow, Cuneo's got to be happy about that. A nice spell hits the bin. And Jamie actually kept a land in his hand over it. He did draw one off the top here as well, though. But he's clearly got a plan, and it looks like it's going to be Complete Disregard to kick things off and keep some damage flowing, though. We're still early. All right, well, why don't we jump over to our main match, Ben? We'll keep an eye on this one as well and let you know who ends up winning it. But we had such a good game one with Sam Pardee versus Magnus Lantto. I want to come back and see it again. All right, there's a Tujuru Stalwart to kick things off for Lantto. Only 2 counters on it, but whatever. It's a 2/3.
Yep, perfectly reasonable still, and great if you have the third color.
Here we go, though.
The retreat is back.
The retreat is back, and on turn 4 once again, and I also saw the Grove Tender Druids in hand for Lantto, so he might be able to reassemble the combo, as it were.
Yeah, and I think we saw 2 of those.
Grove Tenders?
2 Grove Tenders
Correct.
last game. So, yeah, his deck looks really nice.
I mean, this is great. I actually haven't seen somebody go off with Grove Tender Druids and the retreat like this yet, and I'm impressed. I mean, again, we saw him lose all of his creatures to a sweeper and Radiant Flames in game 1 and just immediately rebuild a board and almost come back to win that game, too.
Yeah, I mean, Retreat to Emeria and Grove Tender Druid, not a combo you're going to see very often because they're both uncommons, but when you do get them together, just super powerful.
All right, this is a big turn here. Sam Pardee is main phase anticipating. See what he's digging around for. You know, of course, Magnus Lantto is going to be thinking of Radiant Flames again. Now, he doesn't have to worry about it this turn in any case, because worst case scenario would be Radiant Flames for 2 from Pardee. But still, that's going to be on Lantto's radar here.
Yeah, and playing around sweepers is kind of an age-old Magic thing. I mean, as Magnus, you have to figure out, how much you can afford to hold back. It's always the question of, if I hold too much back, do I just let my opponent develop to the point where I can't beat them anyway? And if I put too much out, can I not recover from a sweeper? So Magnus, having to each turn kind of figure out how much can I put out such that I'm going to win the game if he doesn't have Radiant Flames, but not lose it if he does.
And, I have to say that the combo he's assembled here is beautiful with that, because it's, he's paying mana and playing lands, but he's not taking actual cards out of his hand to build out his board. So, if his plants and ally tokens end up getting swept away, he can live with that, right? It's something that he didn't put actual card resources into. And, he would prefer that it didn't happen. He can make that work.
Yeah, and so as you mentioned, just another land play, another mana here, 2 more creatures, and Lantto with a very threatening board now.
Now, one thing I wanted to point out here from the previous turn, Ben, well, actually, let's see what this is. All right, this is another Coastal Discovery. This one's on turn 6, though, keeping the cards flowing for Sam Pardee. Coastal Discovery, by the way. Thank you, Ben. I love that card. I've been playing it as often as I possibly can. But one thing I wanted to mention about the previous turn was that Sam did play a second copy of that Invoker, and that does make it a lot less likely in Lantto's mind that Radiant Flames is coming, right?
Yeah, that's true. And here, I think...
Holy crap! Is that a Tajura Warcaller?
I think Sam... it actually triggered twice this turn, so all of Magnus' creatures have +4/+4 because of the retreat.
Oh my goodness.
I haven't counted, but Sam might just be dead. That's... So a bunch of 5/5s and 7/7s.
So he played it and then played a land to make a core ally, and that triggered it again.
Yeah, and the Warcaller for each ally giving your whole team +2/+2. So Magnus kind of tossed the Warcaller on the table, put a land on the table, and put all his guys sideways.
I think that might have broken my brain. I have Tajura Warcaller very high on my list. I've had the extreme displeasure of playing against it multiple times. Yeah, he's just dead, right? Block, 4/8. Oh, no, he's not quite just dead. He takes 1, 2, 3, 5. He takes 15.
Yeah, he lost his whole board and took 15.
15, yeah, exactly 15. And by the way, it's still there.
Yeah, it'll happen again next turn if Magnus has another land.
And or ally. And that is going to do it. Wow. Look at Sam Pardee. He's like, geez, that was a lot of damage. That wasn't very kind of you, Magnus.
So yeah, that was pretty amazing ally curve of, the 2/3 into the retreat, into the Druid combo, and then Warcaller to just finish him off.
Yeah, Warcaller is, like I said, it's been very impressive to me, but Magnus Lantto just took it to another level, I think.
Yeah, that is about as much synergy as you can have with that card.
All right, I got to get myself back together here as we jump back over to Jamie Park. That's him on the left. He's playing against Andrew Cuneo. And I like what Andrew's done here. Look at his colors up in his. He's 4 out of 5. Who needs red, apparently? Here's Benthic Infiltrator hitting Andrew Cuneo down to 6 and getting some ingest going.
Yeah, so we see the life totals both pretty low. The Behemoth 6/6 Vigilance there, going to threaten Jamie pretty quickly. Oh, and hiding in Andrew's lands also is a Shambling Vents.
Ah, I see that. And yeah, he's got the black mana over there with the Mortuary Mire to activate it. It looks like Andrew might have gone for the record on on non-basic lands here. I see a Fertile Thicket, a Shambling Vents. I see Mortuary Mire down there. He's got the Cascade there too.
Yeah, his lands are giving him a lot of value, looks like. And yeah, so he's got a 6/6 and a potential 2/3. They're both affected by Jamie's enchantment getting -1/-0.
Right. Yeah, that card's great. I actually had a chance to play it. It's a pretty sweet card. Those static effects that just affect everything are so annoying. Like your opponent's always like, "Oh, I'll block. No, I can't block. That doesn't work." And I'm gonna no. I take 3, not 5. Oh, okay, right.
And so I think Andrew just played Exert Influence.
He did
and
indeed.
Stole that Incubator Drone.
Yeah, and that's going to clear the way for one of my favorite uncommons, Deathless Behemoth. You know, I like to just keep it simple, Ben. You know, I don't need, you know, Pseudo Annihilator. I don't even need Trample. Just give me that 6/6 Vigilance. Let me block. Let me attack. And if it dies, give me a way to get it back sometime, and I'm happy. All right, let's jump back over to our as we actually see a handshake here. Andrew Cuneo picks up the victory, it looks like, off of the Ulamog's Nullifier and his sweet 4-color deck. I'm going to have to grab Andrew and take a look at that deck at some point because it looked pretty nice. And as we jump back over, it looks like we're on turn 3 already here. Okay. It looks like we're kind of rumbling right along. I don't see any green mana yet for Magnus, which could be an issue, yet to see.
Yeah, although it looks like there's a Pilgrim's Eye that he played, so he may have grabbed a forest with that.
Right.
And Sam with a pretty solid start, 0-5 to hold the ground, and then Valakut Invoker to put on a little pressure, and also pressure, you know, through attacking, and also the threat of getting to 8 mana.
And that was an outnumber to kill the Serene Steward there. Did I see that correctly from Sam?
Yep.
Okay.
Magnus double blocked, and Sam outnumbered the 2/2. Gideon's Reproach takes out the Invoker and an Incubator Drone to sort of rebuild for Sam. So pretty similar to game 1, actually, when he had the 0-5 into the Incubator Drone. And we'll see what Magnus has got. He was only able to play the 2/2 landfall creature last turn, another Pilgrim's Eye.
How high are you on Pilgrim's Eye in the draft format?
Oh, I think it's really good.
Okay.
It's a colorless spell, so it kind of works in the colorless deck. It lets you splash colors for the Converge cards, many of which are very powerful. And it just fixes your mana or gets you an extra land in your landfall deck. Maybe lets you splash an off-color ally if you're doing, you know, black-white splash the red one that gives double strike,
Yeah,
or
where's the
black-white
Blade
splash
Master?
the green one, or white-green splash. So lots of options. I think it's just a very all-around solid card in most archetypes.
It's amazing how much that body ends up mattering, too. Did he just do it again?
Yep, another double block from Magnus and another outnumber from Sam.
So he's been 2 for 1 twice now?
Yeah, for 1 mana.
Jeez. I mean, Magnus is getting value off of some of these. The first one that died was a Pilgrim's Eye. So, you know, the math doesn't quite play out cleanly as 2 for 1s, but still, on board they certainly are. All right, well, here's Magnus with the Tajuru Stalwart, and he's got that fully charged up now as a 3/4. That's going to do a good job of holding the ground.
Yeah, so we'll see what Sam can come up with. I mean, the board's pretty stalled at this point. Magnus can't really attack into the 0-5 and the 2/3, and Sam doesn't have great attacks either. Oh, I think I caught a glimpse of Radiant Flames in Sam's hand. So, not too effective right now. It only would take out a Pilgrim's Eye and that Druid, but definitely something to keep an eye on as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think he was looking at seeing how much mana Lantto had and what colors. You know, sometimes that Druid can be the key to getting you a card that you're splashing or to get you to the next level as far as an Eldrazi goes, but he hasn't seen that stuff from Lantto, and Lanto's already got 6 mana anyway. So, you know, even if you were to take him off of the Druid, it's temporary, plus Lantto has all 3 of his colors, so it didn't seem worth it there. You know, what you really want to do is see if Lantto goes like Grove Tender Druid or whatever, and, you know, then you can swipe away a couple of tokens and a Druid.
Yeah, Sam really definitely wants to hold that Radiant Flame to try to hit a Grove Tender Druid, given that he's seen 2.
Sam's found a forest.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually seen the green spell that he is splashing for.
It's not gold. What is it? Sideboard? Weird. I don't actually see it. Is it just for Converge purposes? Does he have some more converging? Oh, you found it, Ben. What did you find?
So it looks like Sam has an Exert Influence in his deck. The blue Converge sort of pseudo mind control that lets you get a creature. The more colors you spend, the bigger the creature can be. So it looks like he's actually just playing that forest to power that up.
All right, well, there was a second. What was that?
I think that was a war caller.
Ah, you're correct. It was a war caller, and that Sam had seen enough of that nonsense. Takes that. Really? Really, Magnus?
Double druid, double war caller. At least one retreat that we saw.
He was going to play them back to back. His plan was to go war caller, attack you, war caller again, trigger both.
Yeah, so
Man.
Magnus's deck is nuts.
It's nuts. Yeah, it is officially in absurd territory with the second Tajuru war caller. Wow. Now, the good news, though, is that Sam, being patient, has been able to really mitigate that. And now he's got both of them off the table. And that chain of, you know, a couple of allies over the next couple of turns is not going to come together here for Magnus Lantto. And Sam Pardee, through really solid play here, has kept himself alive. Touch of the Void and the Radiant Flames clearing out the board. I like this. This is really sweet little play here because Magnus has thrown a heck of a lot in Sam Pardee's direction.
Yeah, Sam's just used all of his resources really well this game. He got 2-for-1s off both those outnumbers. He got a 3-for-1 off the Radiant Flames. But we do see Magnus rebuilding here with the Druid 3/3 making a 1/1 token, and he was able to take the Valakut Invoker out before Sam got to 8 mana.
Yeah. It's an undue champion there.
Okay, so I mean on board we're back to pretty close to even. Sam Pardee with slightly better blockers, but Magnus with the Druid that can really get out of hand as we've seen.
Ooh, double champion now.
Yeah, so Sam attacking with a 4/3 Trampler, offering the trade with any of Magnus's creatures.
I wonder if Magnus is going to take him up and trade off the Tajuru Stalwart.
Yeah, Magnus has a lot of life. On the other hand,
it's not really getting better for him.
yeah.
Right? Like, he could take it here, but then, you know, what changes next turn? Maybe not a lot.
Right, the only way anything changes is if he draws like a 5/5 or an Eldrazi that causes Sam to not be able to attack with those. Otherwise, he just needs to take 4 next turn too, or block later.
And maybe even 8 since Sam has a second copy. Ooh, here's Clutch of Currents to kill a plant and make a 3/3, and it looks like Sam Pardee's turning the corner on this game here. Wow, he's actually just going to give up the Incubator Drone. Oh, sorry, it's a 2/4. I keep forgetting about the Tide Drifter. And that's 7 damage coming into Magnus Lantto, and he gets to keep the drone. So great attacks here for Sam Pardee on this turn as well, as it looks like Lantto may be flooding out a bit. Oh, spoke too soon. Gideon's Reproach.
Okay, so Magnus goes down to 6 from the 3/3 land, but really needs to draw something here.
Did he find another Grove
I think
Tender?
he drew another one. Okay, that's a lot of plants.
So those both trigger, and he gets 2 plants here. You know, when you're flooding out, there is an upside. He's got plenty of mana to work with here. And he can now just pass a turn. So he has worked his way back to nearly stable here as well.
Yeah, and it looks like 2 lands left in hand for Magnus, so he really wants to draw something like the Retreat to turn each of those lands into...
Oh, man, adverse conditions for Sam Pardee. That locks down both of the Druids and is going to not force a chump, but pretty close to force a chump block. Otherwise, Magnus would fall down to 1 with this attack, and he does, in fact, chump, taking 2 damage and dropping down to 4. Wow, this has been a crazy game. Really swingy from both of these players. And Lantto just passes the turn back again. While the shields are down with double Grove Tender Druid down, chump, take 3, go to 1. And make sure that one of those stays tapped even further with the Cascade, and it's all lands for Lantto. And, you know, Sam says, you know what, I had a lot of lands in my hand too, but slightly further ahead on board. And, you know, all those 2-for-1s really added up for Sam Pardee. You mentioned it with the outnumbers early in the game, the Radiant Flames a little bit later, because, like, yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer that Magnus had a bunch of lands left in his hand, but, like, let's look at the cards he cast that game, right? I mean, you know, multiple Pilgrim's Eye. He casted Tajuru Warcaller twice. He had 2 Grove Tender Druids with the mana to do stuff with them, and couldn't find the win.
Yeah, even though Magnus flooded out a little bit at the end there, he certainly was able to cast his spells and cast a lot of powerful ones. And I really like the way Sam played that game. Just got so much value out of all of his cards. And given the power of Magnus's cards, I really feel like Sam needed to do all that to win the game.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? I mean, it was ultimately close. You know, Magnus was one top deck away there from stabilizing that board again. The attack force from Sam Pardee wasn't anything particularly impressive. You know, a 3-3 on the ground, a 2-4 attacking. You know, these weren't, you know, your traditional finishers in a kind of a grindy matchup. But the fact is that Lantto just couldn't quite find what he needed down the stretch, and that gave it to Sam Pardee, who wins 2-1 and stays our only undefeated player here in Madison.
Yeah, so Sam's probably getting pretty close to locking up a top 8 here.
He's close. Yeah, we've got 3 more rounds to go after this. You know, it's not likely that he's going to find himself in a position where he can not draw one of the 3. You know, he's going to probably go. His worst case is lose, draw, probably.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's going to be in a good position. All right, so let's go to our turbo match. Are you ready for this, Ben? Can you keep up?
They are going pretty fast. I like Turbo Anticipate, where they pick up the cards super fast.
You know what I like? Turbo Shuffling. That part's really nice. Dominator Drone with no friends for Ben Rubin. On the other side is Gregory Orange. You know what we call him in the booth, Ben?
I do not.
Citrus Assassin.
Nice.
Yeah, his friends actually call him that, and then we picked it up. Can't let go. Dominator Drone is going to hit Gregory Orange. And a Mindraker is going to come down and add to the board and also force Greg to discard a card.
Oh, wow. But a lot of damage coming over from Gregory.
Holy smokes. The Grove Rumbler just getting in there.
Plus a natural connection. So the Grove Rumbler got in there for 7.
Ugh.
And I think the Valakut Invoker got in there for 3 because of the Spires. So that's just half of Ben's life right there.
Just tend him, huh? Yeah, and it's not getting any better here. Grove Rumbler looks like it's ready to attack, though. Greg is down to just 1 card in hand. Whoa, he's tapped 7 mana. Rolling Thunder. Not a bad one.
He countered it.
Spell Shrivel takes it out, though. But still, that does leave the Grove Rumbler able to attack there for another big hit of damage, because I think Greg played a land that turn as well. So another 5.
Yep, and I think Ben's probably down to about 5 now.
He just drew another Rolling Thunder?
What? Second Spell Shrivel.
Why did it hit Spell Shrivel too? What's going on here? He top decked that too, the Rolling Thunder. Just cold peeled another one. All right, Grove Rumbler does have a trigger up. Oh, wow, but that was land number 8 as well for Gregory Orange, so he actually gets a 2-for-1 plus incidental trample damage out of that block. Wow, that did not work out well for Ben Rubin at all.
Yeah, but this did. It looks like he has a rune processor that was able to get him 5 life back.
Oh, that's huge.
So I think that
Ben
probably
was
took him
like
out.
3 or so? Or?
Yeah, I think that took him right out of range of the Invoker, just barely.
But is it temporary? Because Greg does have 8 mana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's got 8.
Yeah, he does need to find a permanent answer for that Invoker. Because attacking. But I don't know that he's going to be able to race here.
Yeah, he's not, right? It's only a 2-2. Yeah, that's game.
Yep.
That was a tough spot for Ben Rubin, as the Invoker really gave Greg a great late game plan there. You know, he had drawn plenty of lands, which is what he wanted to get his Grove Rumbler going, and then he had a place to put all those lands late in the game. An Invoker is a sneaky little. You guys were really good with that card. It, you know, it's just good enough as a 3-drop to be fine as a 2-3, and you know. There's this kind of natural progression of like, oh, I want to keep hitting lands to keep my great landfall creatures going. And right when they ran out of gas, you look down and you're like, oh, I got a lot of mana. And you start, throwing lightning bolts around it. I think that's great.
Yeah, so we see a pretty fast start from Gregory this game. The 2-2 landfall into 3-3 flying Converge. Yeah,
it looks like the Converge bit it to a Spell Shrivel here, but the Snapping Gnarlid's still getting in for 3 a turn. And he's actually going to trade it off with the Mindraker. Oh, but Grove Rumbler's a follow-up play. Grove Rumbler, though, is now facing down a Fathom Feeder, and, that thing has Death Touch. So, yeah, sure, Greg might, well, let's just cancel that order. How about cancel the
cancel.
Yeah. So that was Scatter to the Winds. It just, no Awaken on it, but that's the rare counterspell from the set. And Greg decides, you know what, I am going to go ahead and trade off my Grove Rumbler here. He doesn't want Ben Rubin to get that steady stream of cards coming off as they stare at each other. And this clears the way for maybe this Invoker to get through, though, as we see Oracle of Dust for Ben Rubin is going to be a bit of a stop sign. Or Ulamog's Reclaimer. Pick your poison. That's 10 toughness over 2 creatures, and it's going to take a lot. And we see what the splash was for here for Gregory Orange. Not just the Skyrider Elf, but also a Coastal Discovery.
Yeah, I like both these decks a lot. Gregory with this landfall deck that's also got these really powerful 2, 1 Awaken and 1 Converge card, as you mentioned, and then a really straightforward looking and powerful looking blue-black deck from Ben Rubin.
Yeah. Yeah, this landfall deck's all about the beatdowns, right? I mean, it's just play a land, hit you, play a land, hit you, play a land, hit you, find a way to finish you off from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I like that it looks like Gregory's deck has a little bit more staying power as far as more resilient stuff going on, the Coastal Discovery and those double Rolling Thunder that can, obviously they're great, but they're really great if you can get in some damage early.
Yeah, so as it turns out for that game, Greg's Snapping Gnarlid just wasn't up to the task as it went to the late game, and Ben Rubin was able to mitigate basically all of the threats from Greg and eventually beat down with his 3/5s and 2/5s.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference in that game, I think, was Grove Rumbler. In Game 1, Grove Rumbler was able to attack as a 5/5 over and over and over again. In that game, Ben had to trade a great card of his for it, but he's just so happy to get it off the table.
Yep, totally. Yeah, that was a huge difference. Here's Mist Intruder into Fathom Feeder for Ben Rubin, who's kind of chipping away in the air. Mist Intruder able to get that ingest going. Doesn't hit very hard, doesn't block very well. You really need to be able to back it up with good ingest cards, and that's what Ben Rubin's trying to do. Here's that Grove Rumbler now for Gregory Orange, and it is going to die to complete disregard here. That's a nice window to hit it when they play it on turn 4 with no land available or no way to get a land into play. But hello, replacement Grove Rumbler has arrived.
So a lot of decks we're seeing with double of their gold uncommon. Pretty nice.
Yeah, we saw that in our main match as well. So this is a crunch with no landfall here.
Okay, choosing to block
and then draw
the
a
Invoker
card.
and get a card off that.
Now that is value, though the Grove Rumbler is still here.
Oh wow, a 7/7 endless one.
Wow. Okay, well, it looks like he's found a good blocker. Though, that was kind of interesting, right? So I think Greg played a land, made it a 5/5, and then attacked.
Yeah,
representing Natural Connection there.
Natural Connection.
Oh yeah.
Or the +2/+2.
Yeah. Ah man, I keep forgetting the name of that stupid card. What is that thing called? I'm looking it up right now. There it is. Swell of Growth. Yeah, that one lets you put a land onto the battlefield, and it's an instant.
Yeah, he could have even had something like Sure Strike to give it +3/+0 in first strike, and that would have been totally devastating.
That would have been a huge blowout. Yeah, he would have gotten in for extra damage as well. Oh, and wow. So as it turns out, the Endless one ended up winning the match, just beating down repeatedly. But did you see what else Greg was splashing for there?
I didn't catch
Fiora.
it. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so now we know what the blue was for. And that will do it for round 12 here for Madison. And welcome back to the booth here in Madison. That's Ben Hayes. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. Ben, great work, man. You're
Thanks.
natural.
That was fun.